Welcome to the Talltale Tavern, the monthly one-shot adventure TTRPG podcast. I am your tavern master and host, Kyle, and we are back for Heat number 2 for the Great Gladiator Tournament. Joining me at the bar is Ryan, who has years of pent-up player aggression from forever DMing, ready to unleash an epic critical failures, just like when he DMs. Welcome, Ryan.
Thank you. It's good to be here and good to actually see what the other side of the DM screen looks like for once.
I know. I have played so much D&D with you, but never with you as a player. So I'm very excited for this.
I'm glad to be here.
What is your character's name and their race and class that you'll be playing?
I am playing Nelnada the. She is a female Shadari-kai Monk, Way of the Long Death.
Very cool. Also joining us, nearly into high school and here to kill her father, Jacqueline or ZombiePolish. I don't really mind which name you use. Smiley face. Welcome, Jacqueline.
Hi, it's great to be here.
I love that introduction. What is your character's name and their race and class?
Her name is Ashina Crystalwood, and her race is a high elf, and she is a druid.
Very cool. Next, the person joining us next is doing this as a favor to Kyle because Kyle couldn't find anyone to play the cowboy of his dreams. And in Scott's absence, someone had to roast Kyle. It's James, aka Maryland Maverick. Welcome, James.
Thank you for having me back. I don't know what amount of money or love Scott had to give you to let me in, but thanks for having me.
What is your character's name and race and class?
My character's name is the Marquis, and he is a human dual-classed artificer and fighter.
Very cool. And lastly, joining us, he's never had a D&D character die before, so he's got conflicted feelings about this. Brian. Welcome, Brian.
Hi. Thanks for having me here.
I'm
Glad
sure
to be
your
back.
character's not going to die in this, so it's going to be fine.
Oh,
so
okay.
You'll never.
It's like wrestling where we've
die.
planned it all out.
Yes, this is all scripted.
Hey,
Heavily
keep the
scripted.
Sorry if that
kayfabe,
spoiled
okay?
anything.
Keep the
die rolls.
kayfabe.
Yeah.
All real.
The
It's all real.
facade. What is your character's name and class and race?
So my character is Joremy the and he is a rock elf fighter.
Very cool.
Sorry, rock gnome. I don't think rock elves exist.
Rock elf.
It's like a rock elf. He's all into the heavy metal.
Well, this is a continuation of our 14th adventure for the podcast. Let's go to the tavern. In the heart of the Sword Coast of Faerun, in the small town of Daggerford, along a busy downtown street squeezed between the shops of a tailor and a florist, like an old dusty book forgotten amidst the others on the shelf, rests the Talltale Tavern. A place of truth and of lies. Grab a drink of any size and listen to the wisdom of the wise in this place where the ink never dries. This is where we find ourselves tonight, sitting around a worn wooden table with the smell of books and brandy in the air. The front door opens like the turning of a page, and in walks a small group of people of various fantastical races. They shuffle in and head pointedly to a table that has a folded piece of paper sitting on it that reads "Reserved for the Talltale Book Club." They sit down and gab for a bit, deciding on which story to read next. One of the members says to the group, "I've got an idea. Hey, bartender, do you have any older stories? Maybe one that hasn't been read in a while?" The bartender ponders for a second, then looks to a figure sitting at the bar, a large cloak obscuring their face and body. The figure shrugs and takes a drink. "An older story, you say?" the bartender says, walking to the nearest shelf cram-packed with books. "How about a classic?" He wiggles out an old leather-bound book and blows the dust off the cover, revealing a very long title. "This one's a little bit different than the others, but just as exciting." He finds a stool in front of the bar, sits down, opens to the front page, and begins to read. "What do you wish for? Fortune? Fame? Power? Enter in a grand competition where only the strong will survive, and only one will receive the prize." That is the message I heard in my mind as I held the strange coin in my hand. Hold the coin speak your wish, and fight for what you desire. And thus continues the third Bi-Sesquincentennial War of the Wishes, Legends of the Lamp! Or, alternatively, GlaD&Diators! Roll the intro! Ryan, your character inspects this mysterious coin he holds in his hand. A large gold coin with a symbol of a lamp embossed on both sides. He hears the message in his mind to state a wish if he consents to compete. Please describe your character and the thoughts that go through his mind just before he states his wish.
Nelnada is exceedingly pale. She has dark, sunken eyes, but the irises are a deep, deep purple. And from what you can see of her head through the purple cloak that goes from top to bottom, trimmed in a very light gold filigree, is that she appears to have no hair. On her hands as she's cradling the coin, you see that there are intricate tribal tattoos running from her fingers up the arms that disappear into the long folds of the cloak. And as she holds this coin in her hand, all she can think about are the tormented dreams she's had for years now of a brilliant yellow sun burning high in the sky, a rebirth over the Shadowfell, which has been her home, and of the horrors of blood and fire that this new sun dawning is bringing to her people.
Cool. Jacqueline, as your character holds her coin in her hands, what thoughts go through her mind before she states her wish? And please describe your character as well.
Ashina holds this coin between her fingers, just fiddling with it, thinking of all the possible chances she could get. She has midnight blue hair that goes down to her waist. It is slightly wavy, but currently it is in a long braid. And her eyes are the darkest orange you have ever seen, but if you look closely at them, they have specks of bronze in them that sparkle ever so slightly. She, as she fills this coin, is just thinking about how she could get her family back from the Feywild, as they have not left in many years.
Mav, as your character holds the coin, please describe him and what his thoughts are.
Sure. The Marquis stands in a white, very now faded, very dusty and dirty leather jacket buttoned all the way up to the neck over a pair of orange riding chaps. And he's holding in one hand the coin and in the other a black flat-brimmed hat. And he's fingering the hat and kind of rotating it along his fingers and doing the same with the other hand with the coin. And thinking about his old boss, Silas Cassidy, laying in the street, blood pouring out of a hole in his chest, and wondering if he'll ever get to find out who was the faster one of them two.
And Brian, your character, please describe him and what his thoughts are before he states his wish.
So Joremy is a rock gnome, green eyes, red hair, pale skin. Beyond that, there's really nothing that stands out. If you were to describe him beyond rock gnome, you wouldn't really have a whole lot, just very generic. So you see him, he's finished a long quest, a campaign to defeat a kobold crew and get the riches back from them. But now that he's at the end of it, it feels empty for some reason. So as he's looking in the treasure and just rummaging through it, he comes across this coin.
As your characters state their wish, suddenly the world turns bright white and your ears are deafened and ringing. As your eyes and ears adjust, you find yourself in the middle of a large coliseum filled to the brim with cheering fans. Ha! You look up at the bright blue sky with large purple clouds flowing through the air and a bright sun at its zenith. You look left and right and see 16 total people standing in a line. You glance behind you and see a 10-foot tall steel construct soldier standing 25 feet away, and 3 others standing in line with him. You hear a distant cannon firing beyond the Colosseum, and soon, cresting over the top of the structure, a large cannonball trailing purple smoke dives straight into the middle of the arena and explodes with purple smoke that quickly dissipates, revealing a humanoid figure with purple skin, short dark hair, a gold leaf crown adorning his brow, and a white cape that appears pinned to his shirtless shoulders. He holds his arms outward and strides forward in his white trousers, and the crowd erupts with applause. He begins to speak with a voice that shakes the arena. Welcome to the 3rd Bi-Sesquincentennial War of the Wishes Legends of the Lamp! Ah! The game is simple. Survive and win a wish. Lose and die. Gladiators, look to your left and right. Who will be the lone survivor? Who will win the wish? Make no mistake, these people are not your friends. There can be only one survivor. He turns to address the crowd again. Now, don't you think 16 is a little too many to start with? Shall we thin the herd? And you hear the crowd start to chant, Gauntlet, Gauntlet, Gauntlet. That's right, let's send them through the gauntlet! Ah! Those who make it out will move on to round 2. Take a deep breath in, gladiators, because this is the last moment of rest you will get until the winner is crowned. My name is Aris, and this is your chance of a lifetime. His legs become a swirling mist of purple, and he flies upward to a skybox and sits on a throne. You look out across the arena, and walls start to shoot up from the ground, cascading toward you like a wave of metal, and soon the walls surround you. You 4 find yourselves standing side by side in a 20-foot wide hallway that extends far ahead into the rest of the gauntlet. 30 feet in front of you, a large metal door closes from the sides. In the middle of the door, there appears to be a small panel of tiles on it. Behind you, you hear a noise, and you see the metal construct soldier begin to transform. The sheets of metal that make up his body slide and move on top of each other, creating a new form. He goes down on all fours, his hands and feet turn to hooves. Large horns extend forward from his head, and what was once a soldier is now a large, 10-foot tall, 10-foot wide bull made of steel. This Gorgon scuffs his hoof on the floor, breathes out a puff of green smoke, and charges. And everybody roll for initiative!
No!
I thought you said no combat in this one, Kyle.
Oh yeah, of course.
I don't have any attacks.
All right, well, in true fashion, like my intro, Nelnada got a 1 + 3, so I'm at 4.
I got a 15.
I have an 11.
I got an 18.
Joremy, you see this Gorgon scuffing his hoof on the floor, green smoke puffing out of his snout, and it looks to charge, but you are first on the initiative.
How far away is it?
So I'll orient you again. So if you're standing in this hallway looking forward to the kind of forward as in the gauntlet keeps going, you see that there's a door that has closed 30 feet in front of you, has a small panel on it. Behind you, the Gorgon is 25 feet away and is 10 foot wide in this 20-foot hallway.
Okay, so we assume it's about to charge, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm going to beat it to the punch and run straight over to it. Not a second thought in my mind. and just take a swing at it.
Okay.
Grabs out his great axe. 14.
14, you swing and glance solidly off the armor. Does no damage. His
So,
large steel
unfazed, Joremy's going to swing again and get, I hope, a 23 hits.
A 23 does hit.
That's good. All right.
Roll that damage.
Damage. So it was a 9. However, I have great weapon fighting, so I re-roll a 1 or 2 for damage rolls with my two-handed weapon.
Nice.
That would be 12.
12 total?
Yes.
You swing your great sword, right? Yeah, great sword,
Yes.
and you find a chink in the armor. Seem to do a scratch to it. Anything else for your turn? Do you have multi-attack?
I do, yeah. So when I attack, I do it twice.
Oh yeah, you missed the first time. So
Yes, and I'm exactly out of movement, so I'm just going to stay right there.
it stands before you, and it is actually going to back up 20 feet. And so you will get an opportunity attack.
Okay.
So you can make a melee attack against it.
That is a 24.
That will hit.
Oh, I clicked the wrong thing. Dang. Oh, no, I didn't. So I have to re-roll a d6 here. It'll be 9 plus 6, 15.
15 points of damage. Good. As it's backing up, you find another chink in the armor, scratch it a little bit better this time, but it backs up 20 feet and then charges forward 20 feet to try and hit you with a goring attack with its horns. And that will be a 26 to hit.
Definitely, yeah.
And you will be taking 23 points of piercing damage as the horn gores you. Because it was a trampling charge, it moves 20 feet toward you. You need to make a strength saving throw, a DC of 16, or be knocked prone.
19.
You save, and that's a good thing, because if you were knocked prone on that, you may have been trampled. And so, but you did not. You stayed up. And that is its turn. Ashina, you are up, and you've seen Joremy run up and take some swings, and it gore him back. What would you like to do for your turn?
I would like to cast Heat Metal on the bull.
Ooh, good choice. Cool. Are you what level will you be casting that at? Because you can cast it as a second, or you can upcast it as a third.
I'll be doing it at second.
Any creature in physical contact with the object, it is the object, takes 2d8 fire damage when you cast the spell. Till the spell ends, you can use a bonus action on each of your subsequent turns to cause this damage again. If the creature's holding something, it's got to do a saving throw to drop it, which it can't really drop itself.
Well, not with that attitude.
If it doesn't drop the object, it has disadvantage on attack rolls and ability checks until the start of your next turn. So it is hot and bothered. And not gonna like that. So it's going to take 2d8. So go ahead and roll the fire damage.
Yep, 9.
9 points of damage. And you see as its giant steel body just starts to turn a reddish color, starts to steam a little bit, and it's not liking that at all. Anything else for your turn?
No, that'll be it.
Cool. And that is a concentration spell. So you're concentrating.
Yes.
The Marquis. Marquis?
The Marquis.
Marquis. Is that what you said? That's his name, right?
That's how he would pronounce it. Let's put it that way.
Okay, great. The Marquis.
Marquis.
You are up.
He may have a little bit of Creole in him, but he has never spoken a word of French in his life. So, Joremy is between the Marquis and this now flaming bull.
Yes, and it's the bull is 10 feet wide. So if you're wanting to know if you have a clear shot at it, you would have a clear shot at it. If that's what you're thinking.
Yeah. Okay. So off his belt, the other members of this group would notice that there are 2 holsters on the Marquis's belt, and only one is full. From that, he draws a repeating revolver and cracks off a shot at the bull for a 9 to hit.
9, unfortunately, you miss. Bullet goes wide.
Okay. And from his seemingly pulling it from midair for a bonus action, he draws an eldritch cannon from the empty holster in his left hand, and it's surrounded in kind of a glowing green aura, and raises it and fires that as well at the bull.
Cool. Yep, yeah, make a ranged spell attack originating from the cannon at one creature or object within 120 feet. On a hit, it takes 2d8 force damage, and the target is pushed 5 feet away. Yep. So yeah, go ahead and make a ranged spell attack.
All right, 20.
20 hits. Cool.
Excellent. And then that is going to do 2d10 fire damage. Let's roll that. 10 fire damage. That bull is getting real hot. Real hot under the collar.
Was that the force cannon?
I'm sorry. You're right. No, you're right.
Force
It's force.
10
so
force.
it pushes the target back, creature up to 5 feet away from the cannon.
And if the target is a creature, push 5 feet away. Yep. So he's going to be pushed 5 feet away from
all of us.
Joremy.
Back down the hallway.
Yeah, I guess from everybody, but specifically, it'll be.
Hopefully not setting him up for another charge, but the Mark was sensing that he is now. There's only one apparently person between him and this giant bull, is going to back up as far toward this door at the other end of the hallway as he can.
Okay. What's your movement speed?
30
feet. And so you're able to get all the way to the other end of this hallway against that door that closed. And on the door, you see a panel that has a bunch of slide tiles on it. It looks like a puzzle, like a slide tile puzzle, that if you put the slides together, you can make a picture to solve it. And it looks like, as an action, you would be able to make an investigation roll to try and solve that puzzle, but only for an action. And so, and you
the Marquis sees this and kind of squints at it and looks back at the rest of the crew and does not say anything.
Okay. Nelnada, you are up.
So landscape-wise, what is the bull's distance from Nelnada now, and then her distance from the door?
30 feet from the bull, and the wall is 30 feet away. You can interact with the wall when you're 25 feet, basically, away from it. So it's 25.
That's the wall with the door on it?
Yeah, that's the door. The door with that panel on it.
Did you say the walls were 20 feet tall?
Yep, the walls are 20 feet tall. If you look at the walls and the sides, you can passively see a magical effect there. It looks like you would really understand that you wouldn't be able to really teleport through them. The top of it is open. And so the top of it is open, and you can see the crowd surrounding the Colosseum as they are kind of watching this all happen. And there is noise kind of happening, but you're shielded from the noise, right, like the sound of the crowd. So, but yeah, they're all inside.
And I'd probably intuitively know then that this magical effect, even though I could see that the walls terminate, it's probably something that would prevent me from getting up on top of the wall. Would I intuitively figure that out, or maybe? Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
You would.
Then, given what I see going on and that this bull is engaged, she would have very almost Gregorian monk style hands inside of her cloak, interlocking, and the cloak hood pulled down fairly low. She would use some of her 40 feet of movement speed to go over to the doorway, and in the way she moves, it's like those Russian ballerinas that you don't. It's like she doesn't bobble. It's almost like she's just gliding across the ground as she moves up to the doorway, the purple cloak billowing behind her a little bit. And then she'd use her action to go ahead and investigate the slide.
Great, yeah. As you walk up, you see that puzzle there and see that you could roll for investigation to try and solve it. So go ahead and Roll investigation on that.
This will go really great. So I have a 3 with a -1 for 2.
2. You are so confused. You've mixed them all up. Nothing seems to make sense with this puzzle, and you unfortunately do not solve it with a 2. So
that makes reasonable sense.
That was an action. Do you have a bonus action that you would like to take, or anything else for your turn?
For a bonus action, I am can do nothing more than use the positioning to put myself in the corner to stay back and just observe what is happening with everyone else and stand in a manner that would let me clearly see everybody that is up and down the hallway.
Okay. At the bottom, we are at the very bottom of the initiative, and the wall that was behind the Gorgon breaks open, shatters, and you see horns pushing through it as a second Gorgon enters and jumps into initiative. It's not their turn yet, but now in this hallway there are 2 Gorgons that face you.
And they're both 10 feet wide in a 20 foot wide hallway?
Correct. That's up
fun.
The whole hallway.
That's fun.
Joy.
Okay.
And it jumps in and is, yes, even with the current Gorgon at this point. So they're standing side by side. We go back to the top of the initiative, and Joremy, you are up, and now 10 feet away from you, you have these 2 Gorgons.
Okay, and I'm 50 feet from the door, right?
Let me just give you an
I
accurate
think I started
measurement.
at 30 and ran
you are
to the ball.
Yeah, so you're 50 feet from the door. You're 45 feet away though. You can get to the door and interact. You're 45 feet away.
Okay. So I'm going to have to. Oh, how does the Gorgon look? The one that we've been attacking.
It looks hot. When he hit him with the Eldritch Cannon, it dented it a little bit, and it's got a few scratches.
Okay. I'm gonna take the dash action, and I'm running back to the door and getting back with everyone else. And you said if we wanted to interact with the door, was it investigate?
Investigation roll to solve the puzzle.
Okay, so I'm not going to use action surge then, and I will, as a bonus action, use second wind to regain some hit points.
Oh yeah, because he did a dash. That's right. Yeah, that's right. He dashed.
Well, I can do action surge if I want to, but then I use it up. So I just got 13 health back.
Okay.
The Marquis, as Joremy's running up, kind of chuckles under his breath, like, I don't know if you're brave or stupid, running toward a 20-foot tall longhorn.
Oh yeah, for doing that first, and then he runs past the door. You think that snide comment, and then kind of turn and look to see the Gorgon that is hot and bothered is now going to be charging at you for its turn.
Okay.
And it charges up at you, and he's going to roll with disadvantage because he's all aflame, all heated up. And with disadvantage, he rolls a 13 to hit.
That's a miss.
And he whiffs. He misses.
The Marquis is tall but slight of stature. he's thin. He can fit into, he's slick.
Ashina, it is your turn.
Okay, so second Gorgon has arrived here. Joy. I'm going to run up to that panel everybody has been going around and try and see if I can find something about it.
Cool. Yeah, you can. You understand that you'd be able to do an investigation roll to try and solve it.
Okay. Oh, 18.
18. You click those tiles into place, revealing a picture of a Gorgon, a giant bull, and the wall. It clicks into place and the wall drops down. And in front of you now, that wall was kind of big, 5 foot wide. So 10 feet in front of you now, there is a 20-foot long pit that is as wide as the hallway. Looks to be about 15 feet down with spikes on the bottom of this pit. And there is a rope hanging in the middle of it, 10 feet away. The jumping rules for D&D are if you're, you can do a long jump. This is for everybody, but you can do a long jump. If you have 10 feet of run up, you can jump the distance of your strength score. So not your +1, but the actual number, 13. Standing is, without that run up, you can do half of that. And so, and then of course, any other ability that you could use to span a distance could be used as well. You used your action to solve the puzzle. The wall goes down. Anything for a bonus action?
I'm going to cause more damage to the Gorgon I cast Heat Metal on.
Cool. And you also do still have your movement speed because you haven't used any of it. And so your movement, you could use this. Go ahead and roll that damage for the Gorgon.
10
points of damage. It continues to heat. The plates are starting to kind of melt to each other. It's not liking the heat. Anything else for your turn? You have your full movement speed if you'd like to use it.
After I damage the Gorgon more, as I'm running into the room, I'm going to yell to everybody, "Get in here, you fools!"
Into the
room with the pit.
Okay, yeah, it's a continuation of the hallway. So it's basically you all are kind of standing in front of, the hallway is the same, and the wall is dropped down, and so now you have this pit in front of you.
All right.
And you said the pit spans the entire width of the hall, and it's 20 feet long or 15 feet long?
20 feet long, spans the width of the hall, and you're standing 10 feet away from it now. So you would be able to do the running jump from here if you wanted to do that. Your strength score would allow you to try to kind of swing on that rope midway through to get to the other side.
I picked the wrong dump stat for this portion of the fight.
My strength's not too good.
So Ashina, at this point, if you wanted to make a decision to swing on the rope to get to the other side, you could do that. That would be an option for you to do.
I would do that.
Okay. So you run and you jump and you grab onto the rope. And as you grab onto it, you feel sharp barbs stab into your hands, and you're going to take a bit of piercing damage.
Ouch, okay.
You take 4 points of piercing damage as it stabs into your hand, and you swing over to the other side of the pit and land safely.
All right, that'll be it.
So Kyle, I want to be clear here. The rope is still there. It doesn't require an acrobatics check or anything like that. We can just
Let's
use the rope.
Let's say your strength score is not even.
It's not
even 10.
It's not.
You may have to roll to make the rope even.
Oh, great. That's good.
And so that is something that your character may have to do.
Okay.
It's the Marquis's turn. What would you like to do?
Lordy. I
hadn't seen your strength, my goodness.
I told you I picked the wrong dump stat for this. I am you can see him, he kind of looks around, he holsters his firearms, and he's kind of scrabbling for what to do, because that rope looks pretty far for him. He's only wee. He's not he's thin.
If you wanted to choose to jump for it, it would be an athletics roll, and the DC would be the distance, which is 10 for you, just because you can't automatically do that. But this, with all the adrenaline, maybe you can make it.
You can also stay with the Gorgons. That's an option.
That is it.
I'm looking back over my shoulder at these horned things, maybe I can dodge them as they charge and let them fall into the pit and then walk over them. How big those spikes look? They look lethal?
Give me an investigation as you're looking at the pit.
Is this going to absorb my action?
No, just because you said it.
Okay. 11.
It looks like it's gonna do some damage to you, but it's probably not gonna take you out of the entire fight,
That's with a +4, by the way. It's an 11 with a +4. All right. The Marquis briefly thinks if I shoot myself with my Eldritch Cannon, it will boost me another 5 feet, and then goes, you know what? Screw it, and does the run up to try to jump to make the rope.
Okay, give me that athletics roll. The DC is 10.
As you've been looking back and forth, Nelnada's been watching you, her head low. She sees you back up and start to run, and she says, her talons cull the strings of fate. May yours be woven long and true.
Ominous. That's not a bonus like bardic inspiration or anything that you gave him, right? Just muttering the words as you're making this jump.
Am I being intimidated right now?
Yeah, roll with disadvantage. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, let's go for it.
Give me that athletics roll.
Woo!
17.
Easily.
Nice. You grab onto the rope and those barbs go into your hands. Ow. You're going to take some damage from this. And the barbs hit you a little bit harder than it seemed to hit the other one. It hit Ashina. 9 points of piercing damage into your hands. Those barbs really stab their way through. And you land on the other side.
He whips off his hat. Woo! And then realizes his hands are bleeding. And he's like, fuck. Puts his hat back on.
Good.
So that's my action. With a bonus action, or does that take up my entire? Can I still use a bonus action?
That was your action to swing across. Well, no, that was just your movement speed. Sorry, that was just your movement speed. So you still have an action and a bonus action.
Got it. Okay.
Because you were able to do the investigation on the pit.
So the Marquis whips his pistols back out, raises his the Schofield, his revolver, points it at Ashina, gives her a wink, and then aims past her at the bowl that's on fire and fires.
Okay.
For... Oh my gosh, come on! 12.
12 does not hit.
My rolls are not sharpshootery.
It's because your hands are pierced. They're just a little sweaty with blood, you know?
Yeah, that's right. All right, and he's gonna pull out the Eldritch Cannon and fire away for 13 to hit. Also
13
a miss.
does not hit.
Damn. Yeah, the blood, the little barbs in my hands threw my aim off. With that finished, he kind of holsters his firearms and looks around for the next threat. And
that leads us to the next Gorgon. So right now, across the pit, we have Ashina and the Marquis, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. When I said I was aiming at Ashina, I was actually aiming at Nelnada, at the other side of the pit.
Right.
So I just wanted to correct that. Sorry about that.
But you were trying to hit the Gorgon.
Correct.
Okay. And so the second Gorgon enters in and charges forward and is going to use its movement speed. And to the remaining two left on this side of the pit, it is going to use its petrifying breath attack. And it exhales this green petrifying gas in a 30-foot cone. And it's just going to hit Joremy and Nelnada. And this is going to be a Constitution saving throw, a DC of 13, that you two will have to make.
Okay.
Good luck.
Nelnada gets a 16.
That passes. And Joremy?
I've apparently acclimated my nose to very bad smells because I had a 24.
24, great. You both save, and that is a very good thing. And that is its turn. No damage has befallen you. Nelnada, it is your turn.
Nelnada looks to Joremy. She nods at him. May you feel the touch of feathers and not talons. And then turns and makes a run for the hanging rope.
And you are able to make that jump with a strength score of 14, and you jump, you grab the rope, you feel the barbs go into your hand, and you will be taking 6 points of piercing damage on that rope that is now bloodied with 3 people's blood. And you swing and land on the other side of this pit. Anything else for your turn?
What does just my passive perception tell me is around us? Anything that I need to be prepared for immediately?
You see that the end of the hallway is fairly close, and the hallway turns. And with your movement speed of 40, I think, right?
Yes.
You would be able to make it to the corner and look at the next hallway if you'd like to.
I would. Was it going left or right, the hallway?
It's going right. And as you go and look, it does a horseshoe turn into the next hallway.
Okay.
And you look down this hallway, and it looks like there's nothing in there, except for a 5-foot pit, kind of 3/4 the way through. Looks similar maybe to what the pit you just jumped, but it's just 5 foot wide, and it's dark. You can't really see the bottom of it from this distance. Anything else for your turn?
Well, I haven't done an action, so let me go ahead and make an active investigation on that side, especially since that pit, I do have dark visions. I should hopefully let me see a bit more.
Yeah, it's pretty light, and it's light. So,
Okay.
But you go ahead and give me an investigation roll.
This is going to be epic. 8.
8. You don't get much more than that, unfortunately.
Okay. That is my turn then.
Okay. Back up at the top, Joremy, you are the last on this side of the pit. What would you like to do?
I mean, I want to get out of here. So, I assume I would have noticed, like the blood on the rope by this point.
Yes, for sure. You would notice
It's
that.
like,
If you want to look at it closely, you can do an investigation.
No, I just wanted to know that I would know it's gonna deal some damage. So how hard is it if I just want to jump this whole thing? My strength is 19.
Your strength is 19. I'll allow you to do a athletics roll for this. If you roll a 20, then you can make it the full distance. If not, you may or may not catch the rope.
Okay. So that would be if I'm just jumping all the way across and ignoring the rope,
Yeah. Yep.
right? Okay. If only I'd put one more point into my strength.
I don't know. Yeah.
I am gonna jump for the rope and just
You're not gonna
grab
try.
onto it as gingerly as
You're not gonna
possible.
try. We're not gonna try to do it. Not gonna do the athletics. Got +7 to athletics. Got
Come on! Swing for the fences.
I'm betting the spike pit's a lot more than the rope. Just a guess.
Maybe there's spikes made of candy. You don't know.
So I'm gonna jump for it, but I'm gonna do whatever I can. If there's like spots between spikes on the rope, I'm gonna do my best to grab those spots, or like
Okay.
where there isn't blood at least.
Sure. So you jump in and you grab onto the rope, and you are trying to avoid any barbs. Give me a dexterity, like an acrobatics. We'll say, well, yeah, acrobatics seems right to try and grab this rope with some poise, I suppose.
Yeah, 13.
At 13, the barbs are everywhere, so unfortunately that's not high enough to avoid any damage. And you will
My
be
hands are
taking,
so small.
you'll be taking 7 points of piercing damage.
Ooh.
Ooh.
And you swing to the other side and land. And you look across the pit at the Gorgons, who look frustrated. One looks very, very frustrated and hot, and they look very sad, and they do not pursue as they know that they cannot get over this pit. And so, as you guys are now all together, we're going to go out of initiative as you go and walk through this next hallway.
Kyle,
As
you said
you,
you said it was a horseshoe turn?
It is like it's a horseshoe turn. So, like it kind of turns back on itself. But you turn right and enter into this new hallway. Each of you would have a turn at this point if you'd like to do a turn before walking into the next area. If there's anything that you would do as an action, this could be something to heal yourself. This could be something that you could cast on yourself if you would like. But that would be an action. Anybody want to do anything in this kind of in-between turn out of initiative order?
I would stop concentrating on the heat metal spell.
It's not long enough for a short rest, correct?
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
The Marquis would, holding his Eldritch Cannon, kind of roll the revolver, the revolver portion of it along his hands, like along the palms of his hands, and through that, which is also his spellcasting focus, cast Cure Wounds on himself.
Cool. Go ahead and cast that Cure Wounds.
Fuck me, 2. I get 2 points of damage back.
2 points of healing? How?
2.
You can't even cast that low on
Is it
Cure
not
Wounds,
plus
can you?
anything?
It's 1d8 plus 1. So I rolled a 1 and
Because
got
that's
a
your
plus 1.
spellcasting modifier.
How many points did you put into Artificer? Or like how many levels?
3.
3, okay.
Great.
So-
You get 2 points of healing back. You it's like your armor, your gun takes out a little. It's like a little salve that you put on a wound, and that
A little of the sting out of it.
Little takes the sting off of it. Ryan and Brian, anything for your kind of in between turns here?
Nelnada will clasp her hands together and work them to seem like she's trying to heat them and just trying to massage the bloodied palms. Meanwhile, she'll nod intentionally at Marquis and at Joremy, is it? Joremy, and just kind of passively, still having the hood down over her eyes, you can't see them, and then she folds them back into her monk cloak and looks about, just looking real intently to see if there's anything that might have been left behind or anything that might have been there for clues for those of discerning eye to help with the travails ahead, anything that might give a clue to what might be coming forward.
I will have you do an investigation roll for this again.
I forgot to mention that I would also have casted Cure Wounds on myself.
Okay.
Got a 10 on investigation.
No.
Nothing. Unfortunately, nothing more than you've already seen. Imagine that.
Are we? So we're limited to kind of one turn of action here, Kyle.
Right. Yeah. So this is this is
okay.
kind of as you guys are walking down the hallway, kind of entering into the next area.
Okay.
So that was kind of out of initiative order, turn where everyone could take an action. So.
So I would like to. Can we see anything outside of these walls? Like, can we
You
see
see
any
the
of the
crowd.
arena?
You see the crowd, and they, cheered for you. Some of you as you made it across the pit. You hear different portions of the crowd, gasping as something else on, another group is, something else is happening. Maybe somebody is not making a jump, or, you hear different sounds as the crowd around you. You're not sure who they're exactly paying attention to.
So I would, as I can see that, just try to figure out, if I can, what realm we're in, or if there's anything that I recognize that would place us.
Roll I'll let you roll a perception or arcana, whichever one's higher or lower.
Definitely.
I guess,
Yeah.
if you wanted
Make
to
it more
do
interesting.
that. So
I'm choosing higher. 11.
you look up at the clouds that are swirling, purple clouds, strange. Blue sky, strange. Sky looks like it has a curvature to it, like a weird curvature. Can't really make much of that, but. And then the sun, it's been a bit of time, hasn't moved, straight up in the sky, at its zenith, pointing straight down.
Okay.
That's what you get. You guys move forward, and you come up to a 5-foot pit. You look down about 15 foot down. It's got spikes at the bottom. On the sides of this pit, you see some moss, but you're able to see down into the bottom of this pit. You're able to see that there doesn't seem to be any doorways down there. It's not like a secret exit or entrance or anything like that. But it does, it's just 5 feet wide, easily jumped over, stepped over. The hallway continues down and turns to the left.
Is there any kind of dirt, sand, gravel, any kind of grit on the ground that Nelnada could scoop up and throw across the pit?
There is, yep. So this the gladiator arena was made of sand. The metal had kind of like replaced everything, but there's still like bits of sand and dirt around. And so you pick up a clump and toss it to the other side. It lands on the other side, doesn't seem to have any effect on the floor. And looking at the floor, doesn't seem to reveal any special cracks or anything like that. And I'm
Doesn't
using
show-
your all passive perceptions kind of as we go through things as well. But go ahead.
I would say it didn't look like there was anything that it got caught on with flew through the air or anything like that.
Nope.
The Marquis looks over at Nelnada, kind of like, his sun like squinted eyes, the hat brim barely shading his eyes from the sun overhead, beating sun overhead. Kind of nods, was thinking the same thing. Perhaps something devious. Sitting out there invisible in the middle of that pit, waiting for us to jump right into it.
And so you're all standing in front of this pit. Nelnada and Ashina and Joremy, what would you like to do?
The Marquis tips his hat back and kind of sits back, goes, "So who wants to go first?"
So I'm gonna grab just a like a python from my bag, and I'm gonna toss it at the height across where I would be jumping to see if it passes through that line of travel.
Okay, what is a python?
It's that thing you hammer into a
it's
rock
a climbing
for rock
thing.
climbing.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Think of it as like a metal stake.
You may know it from our games when I refer to a piton because I just assumed it was French.
You throw your piton, and it goes across and clangs on the floor, and that's it. It doesn't hit anything.
Nelnada will lower her hood. You see that her head is completely shaved, no eyebrows. Her faintly elfin ears are present. She rolls her sleeves up a little bit. You see those tribal tattoos go up her arms, even further up into the cloak. She cracks her neck side to side and looks at the others. Death is but a whisper away. Heed its call with reverence, not fear. And she turns and jumps with the intention of jumping and bouncing off the wall and to land further into that next area. So she's not just landing right on the other side of the pit, but trying to actually spring off of it. Like she's going to try to land another 5-10 feet in.
Okay, cool. Give me an acrobatics roll on that.
It'd be a dirty 20.
Dirty 20. Looks awesome. It looks really cool. And you do exactly as you described. Wall run for a bit, and you jump 10, 10, you said 10 or 15 feet is what you're aiming for?
At least 10 feet from the edge of where
Yep,
that...
10 feet from the edge,
yep.
you're able to jump there and land. No problem. Look back. Nothing seems changed.
The Marquis takes initiative then, jumps next.
Okay. You jump over the pit. Nothing happens.
Those boots hit the gravel, and he kind of sways back for a second, stares that -1 strength modifier in the face, gets back upright, brushes himself off.
Great.
Well planned.
So Joremy's gonna go ahead and try to jump next. And you said it's 5 feet across?
Yeah, 5 feet.
Okay, so I'm going to land 14 feet past that.
You do so, and you fly in the air, soar past Nelnada, and land, and it looks pretty cool. You fly pretty good, pretty well.
Show off.
And Ashina, you are across the pit. What would you like to do?
Ashina is going to take a running start and then leap over the pit.
Cool. You jump over the pit and you make it. You all come together and you join and you walk forward together and turn the corner into this next hallway. As you turn the corner, your face hits something. It's like gross. You like step back for a second, your eyes adjust, your nose kind of stings. You look forward and there's like a floating skull in the air and like a shield that's rusted and floating in the air, and then you blink and you realize that you're looking at this giant wall of gelatin. And this wall of gelatin that's as wide as the hallway starts to move toward you. Behind you on the other side of that pit, a wall shoots up, ka-chunk, blocking your exit. And everybody roll for initiative! As this giant 20 by 20 foot gelatinous cube slimes forward.
So the pit side is still facing us. The wall that would get us back to the side is now blocking it. So if we go backwards, we're going down to the pit.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Good.
And did you say how deep that pit is? Or what we estimated?
15 feet.
15.
Okay. And this next hallway is also 20 feet wide, but this is a 20-foot cube of gelatinous material in front of us.
Gelatinous cube, yep. 20 by 20 foot gelatinous cube.
The decent-sized gelatinous cube.
It's a bigger one than usual.
That's what she said.
So go ahead and go through the initiative.
All right. Nelnada got an 18 initiative.
Ashina got a 9.
The Marquis got a 22.
Dang.
Nice.
Cool.
I got a hot 5.
A hot 5. And so this gelatinous cube with its stat block gets, you can notice this gelatinous cube if you have a passive perception of 15. That is a good thing for two of you. Ashina and Mav. Ashina and the Marquis. Your passive perceptions are both 15. And so this gelatinous cube, as we go through this first round of initiative, will have not surprised you, but it will have surprised the other two. And so top of the initiative is the Marquis. And you are not surprised by this because you were able to see it just in time before it started moving. So you have your turn.
How far away is this?
You are face to face with it. I had you all move together forward as a group to move into the next hallway. So
he was about to be very judgmental about all this showing off with these really large jumps. Yeah. He's feeling very inadequate with his strength. Okay, so we're right up against it.
Yes, it is right in front of you, going to be moving into you.
Okay. Let's look at what I have at my disposal here. Is there? So we can see through the gelatinous cube, correct?
You can.
Is there anything behind it?
You can see that the hallway does another horseshoe turn.
Okay, but there's nothing like stopping it from moving backwards.
No, there's nothing stopping it. And as you look backward toward the pit, I had moved you forward, not mentioned how far that was, but that pit is 30 feet away from you at this point.
Okay.
Behind you.
So the Marquis, surprised but not surprised, snaps his revolver out of his quick draw holster and fires off a shot, but it's not a shot. It's not an attack. He's firing Thunderwave out of his pistol.
Ooh, cool.
At the gelatinous cube. So it has to make a Constitution saving throw.
Okay.
And on a failed save, it will take 2d8 thunder damage and is pushed 10 feet away.
How does a 9 do?
That is not going to do it for you.
Go ahead and roll that damage.
12 damage. All right.
Cool.
And it's pushed 10 feet away by the spell's effect. And the spell emits a thunderous boom audible out to 300 feet. So that crowd is going to be covering your ears as he fires as this thunderclap bursts out of the barrel of his revolver.
Boom! The crowd goes silent for a second, and you feel their gaze upon you, and the crowd cheers as it sees the cube getting knocked back 10 feet.
And so the Marquis, after this spell, is going to acknowledge the crowd by tipping his hat, and as he trots backwards 30 feet to the edge of the pit, brings his hat off his brow to fire his Eldritch Cannon as it materializes in his hand. For a 17 to hit.
That will hit.
Right. We need 2d8 force damage. Or 9 force damage. There we go.
9 force damage.
Now we're moving and shaking.
The gelatinous cube had with the thunder wave, and then you've blasted some of its clear jelly off of it. Anything else for your turn?
No. I think that covers me.
Nelnada, you would be next, but unfortunately, you're surprised. The gelatinous cube rolled pretty well on its initiative. It's got a -4 to initiative. It rolled decently well. And it is going to move forward now. And it is going to use its engulf ability. So it moves and engulfs Nelnada and Ashina and Joremy. And with the engulf action that it has, do you all have to make a DC 12 dexterity saving throw?
Okay. Nelnada got a 13.
You pass. What did you get, Joremy?
7.
7. Unfortunately, you fail. And Ashina?
12.
12. You beat it. You just are able to, as you get engulfed by this gelatinous cube, you are able to quickly get out of it. 2 of you are. 1 of you is not.
All right.
And Joremy, you are going to take some acid damage as you are engulfed. You take 13 points of acid damage.
Ooh.
Oh.
You cannot breathe, and you are restrained, and you are inside the cube. And you, as an action for your turn, you can attempt to make a DC 12 strength check. That's just a flat strength check to get out. For the other 2 that saved, you saved on your dexterity saving throw. You can be, with the stat block for the cube, you can be spit out on the same side of it, where you were just at, or to the sides of it, which is not possible in this hallway. If you would like to swim through it at this point, making that save, you can. You would be taking damage to do so, but you would be able to successfully make it through the cube if you would like to choose to do that instead of saving. Instead of popping out on the same side.
Out of curiosity, if we had any other abilities to avoid damage, could we use them too, or we just either swimming through it or popping back out on the
That
same
depends
side?
what it was. What would be the ability that you'd have?
I don't suppose technically I could dodge while inside of it. I'm just thinking out loud, so.
Oh, right. Yeah, it would be, unless you had something like a reaction to like a Misty Step spell or something. But you would be surprised anyways for this. So
Yeah, so
but
I think because she is surprised, she is whelmed, but she's still facing the direction she was going. So Nelnada would just power through.
okay. You
and
are
push
able
through to the opposite side.
get to the other side, and you will be taking acid damage to do so. And you will take 15 points of acid damage. Rolled really well on that.
Yes.
So you take 15 points of acid damage. You are able to breathe your way out on the other side and pop out on the other side of this cube.
Her skin has got like a horrible sunburn, blisters all over it. Part of her ear is a little bit dissolved.
Ashina, would you like to stay on your side of the cube, or would you make that choice to try and swim through?
I would try and swim through it.
Okay. So you will be able to do so, and as you swim through, you take 10 points of acid damage
Okay.
and land on the other side. Joremy, you are inside the cube. Ashina, it is your turn because you had the passive perception of 15, so you are not surprised on this round, so you get to have a turn. To give you a look at what you're now looking at on the other side of this cube, you see the next hallway, this horseshoe turn, and you look down in the middle of this hallway. There is a podium which has a potion bottle sitting on it. Seems to contain a gold liquid.
Walking up to the podium, I would like to investigate what I think it might be a potion of.
You walk up to this stand and you see this shimmering gold liquid inside this potion bottle, and you recognize this as a potion of advantage. This is essentially a DM's advantage as a potion. If you drink the potion for the rest of the tournament, you'll be able to roll with advantage whenever you want, as for any roll, can be a reaction to a bad roll. You see a purple swirling magical effect that's kind of looks to be a shield that is kind of going around this magic bottle. You realize if you wanted to reach for this potion and grab it, there may be an effect, something you might have to roll for to get it. You recognize that this is not going to be able to be swung at with to knock over the bottle or anything. There won't be any way to access it except for trying to reach through this kind of magical swirling effect to try and grab this potion of advantage.
Okay.
If you would, and that would be something that you would be welcome to do if you would like to try.
Okay. I think for the moment I'm just gonna cast Cure Wounds so I don't die. And that'll basically be it.
Okay. Joremy, it would be your turn, but unfortunately you were surprised for this. And that really sucks when the gelatinous cube rolls pretty well on its initiative. And you rolled a 5 on your initiative. On the start of each of the cubes' turn, you will take damage. So you do not have a turn. We go back to the top of the initiative order with the Marquis. It is your turn.
So the gelatinous cube went and engulfed, moved toward the pit. Given his passive perception, can he tell if the gelatinous cube is, forgive me for putting it this way, facing the same way? Is it continuing?
It looks like it's moving.
Them?
It looks like it's moving toward that direction. Yes.
All right. He is going to pop his Schofield out of his holster and fire off a ray of frost at the gelatinous cube for a 20 to hit.
Now 20 hits.
And that's going to do 11 damage. And its speed is reduced by 10 feet until the start of the Marquis's next turn.
Okay, very cool.
And he is going to draw his Eldritch Cannon and fire that again. Same target. For a 19 to hit.
That hits.
Roll the damage, 2d8 for 5 force damage.
Okay.
Grand total of 16 on that turn.
Part of the gelatinous cube freezes for a bit. The bottom of it feels like it's not making its way as easily, and another chunk is blasted off of it, of this gelatinous stuff. Looks about half as good as it did when it started.
Just blazing away with both cannons here.
Yep. Nelnada, anything else for your turn?
I obviously I can't back up any further, but how much do I have? About 30 feet between me and this cube? Is that where we are?
It is. Yeah, it is 25 feet away from you. It was able to use some of its movement speed to get
During the
closer
engulf?
after
Okay.
that may be why you have something different after that.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, he kind of. Marcus kind of tilts his head, squints at Joremy in there, and you can see him running the calculations in his head, could he bounce a shot off the wall and maybe hit him, and he kind of shakes it away as he's turn.
Nelnada, you are on the other side of this cube, and you too see this podium with a potion on it.
With a steel in her eyes, she shrugs out of her robes. You can see that she's wearing simple, tight black clothing underneath her, and that she has strapped to her just a series of daggers, just a bow staff strapped to her back. She's got a short sword. She's got a long, just like a club, and struggling out of it, you see where she's been acid burned across her head and on her arms. The rest of her is not so damaged yet. And she says, "Where life blossoms, death follows close behind. A dance that only ravens comprehend." And she hauls back with that wooden club and swings hard at the back of this jetless cube.
Okay. Go ahead and make your attack rolls.
All right, I will make an attack roll for the first attack. It is a dirty 22.
That hits.
All right, and I'd like to make this a stunning attack.
Okay.
Using a key point.
Cool.
So I'm gonna roll damage first. So the damage is 7 points of bludgeoning damage to it, and then making this
I think it has to do a Constitution.
Yeah, I gotta look at this one. So making a stunning strike, I'm spending one of my key points. It needs to make a DC 12 Constitution save.
Okay. And it rolls a natural 13, and so it does pass.
All right.
It is not
That's
stunned.
okay. I will use my second attack to come at it again with the club, and that'll be a 17 to hit.
That hits.
For another 6 points of bludgeoning damage.
Okay.
And then for a bonus action of an unarmed strike, going to haul off with my other hand and just do a flat palm strike to it, kind of forcing my hand into it so you can see it smacking and like the waves of force just going through it.
Oh, nice.
So I tried to broadside smack it right in the middle. So that's not the right attack roll. Ignore that one. Here's a proper attack. Wow, it's a nat 20 for 26.
Good. It heard your description of that. And we're in bullet time right now as that hand hits and smacks the cube and it reverberates. Give me the damage on that.
Well, 7 points of bludgeoning damage.
And that hit reverberates. Go out of bullet time. Anything else for your turn?
She will peer through the gelatinous cube, try to see her companions who are traveling through here, and tries to give them each a nod as if to say, we're still fighting.
Okay. It is the cube's turn, and any creature inside is going to take acid damage. And Joremy, the acid damage before, when you were just being engulfed, was 3d6, but unfortunately when you're in the cube, surrounded by it, that's 6d6 that you will be
Oh my
taking.
goodness.
And so you will be taking...
You're gonna have to roll very poorly for me to live.
17 points of acid damage. So you're still up?
I'm not by much,
Okay.
but I'm alive.
Brutal.
And it is going to move. It has 10 less movement speed. So it tries to move 10 feet. It is able to move 10 feet. Usually a gelatinous cube. This is for people who have the stat block up, who may be listening. Generally gelatinous cubes have 15 feet of movement. This one's 20 feet. It's a little bit larger than usual. It has 20 feet of movement speed. So it still is able to move 10 feet and then use its engulf attack, which is moving up to its movement speed, and moves up into the Marquis's space and engulfs the Marquis. You need to make a DC 12 dexterity saving throw.
Marquis is lightning fast. Let's see if he's fast enough.
22, you save, and you can either be spit out into the pit or swim through to the other side.
It's getting kind of late. I think the Marquis is gonna swim through.
Okay. And you'll be taking 9 points of acid damage as you swim through and make it to the other side. And that is the cube's turn. And Ashina, you are next. So you are standing next to the potion in the next hallway.
Okay. I'm going to try and reach for the potion.
Okay. As you reach for the potion, I need you to make a wisdom saving throw as your hand enters into this purplish
13.
void. A 13. What is Ashina's greatest fear? What is something that she fears more than anything?
Failure.
The fear of failure. You reach in and you try to grab as best as you can, try to grab this potion, and that fear overcomes you. That fear of failure, knowing that it is happening and you are not going to be able to reach for that potion and get there, and you withdraw your hand, and you are going to be taking some psychic damage from this.
Alrighty.
6 points of psychic damage. And you withdraw, and the effect goes away. You recognize that if you wanted to, you could try this again. Not on this turn, but you could in the future. Anything else for your turn?
Nope, that'll be it.
Okay. Joremy, you are inside the cube.
Yeah, not loving it in here. Have I seen what's going on?
It's fairly transparent, so yeah, you can see around. You can see that it that everybody's been has swum through it.
So I mean, I'm gonna try to not be ensnared by it. So you said that was a strength?
Yep, a strength check, and this is a DC 12 strength check to try and get out of the cube.
Okay, if I fail this one, then I deserve what I get. Okay, 19.
Ooh,
19, you are
nice.
able to exit the cube. In a 5-foot space of your choosing, do you choose to exit into the pit or in on the safe side?
Safe side.
Okay. You exit the cube and you're outside of it. That was an action to be able to make that strength check. Anything for a bonus action for you?
So does it seem like the cube is still going forward?
You can't tell at this point.
Is there any way? But it's still facing away.
It's a big cube, so it's hard. I use the term facing for the way it was moving, but the little skull inside is facing that forward direction.
Okay, that's good.
So,
I like that.
but actually, the way it moved, it's actually faced to the wall because it kind of moved this way and then this way. So, but that's besides the point.
So I'm gonna stay there, but I'm going to say, does anyone have healing that they could spare? I know we're like kind of against each other, but I'm just so used to working on a team.
Hey, I do.
Food for thought.
Okay. That is your turn. You have all made it outside of the cube, and watch as this cube continues forward and into this crevice and just melts into the, not in the crevice, into the pit, and melts into it and goes away. And we are out of initiative once again.
Woo.
The three of you go around the corner to this potion, or the three of you that were not at the potion already, go around to the corner to the potion. What would you all like to do? You all see that this is a potion of advantage.
So it's there, it's a podium, it's sitting on it with this purple shield-like thing around it. What's beyond it? What's in the chamber beyond this?
This is the only thing in this hallway. It looks like the hallway ends and turns to the right.
Okay.
And yeah, at the end of this hallway.
Would we know whether this potion is like a one-time use? You take it, you advantage once, or it's like advantage on
Correct.
every roll?
Yep, it's an advantage one time for the rest of the tournament. That's what I meant
Okay.
to say.
I thought it was on every single roll.
Oh gosh.
There was a moment where I was like,
Wow.
wait.
That's pretty powerful.
You're
It's a
trying
one-time
to get
use.
us all to murder each other right here.
Yeah, it's a one-time use. Yes. So, as you stand
So I
around
want to
it,
look.
oh,
Can
go
I
ahead.
tell anything about the like aura around it?
Go ahead and do
what
an
it might
Arcana.
be?
Yep. Go ahead and do an Arcana check.
A 5.
Can't tell. Can't tell what this would do.
Nelnada would be repositioning her robes a little bit torn, a little bit more holy than it was before she passed through the gelatinous cube. And she'll look at that potion and look at the companions. From Raven's beak, truth spills, listen, for her words are the silence between heartbeats. And then she just starts walking to the end of the hallway.
Okay. She passes it by. Joremy, the Marquis, and Ashina, do you make a move for the potion?
Watching Nelnada walk by, the Marquis kind of shakes his head and is like, the type of woman that would say, you don't shoot with your gun, you shoot with your eye. You shoot with your gun. It's the only thing that shoots.
She speaks in a very cryptic way. I don't understand her.
Do you know her?
No, I don't know you. I don't know this other dude either.
Oh, I'm Joremy. Nice to meet you.
I would put out my hand, and as I would shake your hand, I would cast Cure Wounds on you.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh, hang on, give me a second.
Thank you. I'm down to
You're
2.
welcome. Oh no. 10.
Oh.
10 points of healing.
5 times what I had. 6 times. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The Marquis
Tracking health on this is great.
The Marquis is standing off a little bit, like watching Joremy very carefully. Kind of hands resting by his sides, not that far from the butts of his guns. Not on them, but not far. But he gives the bottle a glance, and he sees the kind of purplish swirling, which is still there, right?
Yeah.
And he walks up. And if he were to get close enough, would he feel the kind of the sense of like what this fear would be?
Was it you that rolled the Arcana? You could roll an Arcana. No, that was Joremy that rolled Arcana. Yes,
Yeah,
you can
I
roll
did.
Arcana.
7.
Nah, nothing.
So he doesn't get a sense for what it would be.
Nope. You understand it would be an effect that you would have to get through.
He kind of eyes it and he goes, "That's a question I don't need answered." He walks on by.
Okay. And Joremy?
I don't consider myself smarter than everyone here, so I'm just gonna walk away.
Okay. And Ashina, do you try again or do you walk away?
I would walk away.
Okay.
We'll,
You all
we'll
walk
risk
to
my
the
life for
end
that.
of the hallway and you take a right turn, another horseshoe turn. And in the next hallway, you see a wall of webs in this hallway, just completely filled with webs. That's all you can see. It looks pretty thick. You recognize this as something that would take, difficult terrain to get through.
And it's like all across the hallway, just like covered in it.
All across the hallway.
Since there is no urgency, is there any reason why Nelnada could not sit down and bind her wounds for a moment?
If you're asking if you can have a short rest, unfortunately, you won't be able to have a short rest in here, if that's your question.
That was the question.
Okay.
It's fair enough.
So the Marquis steps forward and he goes, "I think I can handle this," and slowly draws the Schofield. Kind of, you can see him moving the revolver like along popping cartridges through until the right one is in the barrel, and then fires firebolt at the largest mass of webs in front of him to see if he can hit it and maybe set it on fire and burn it away.
Okay, cool. Is that a cantrip that he has?
It is. So it's a 1d10 fire damage. A flammable object hit by this spell ignites if it isn't being worn or carried.
Okay.
So assuming that the webs are objects and not like, something innate to the terrain.
You are able to cast the firebolt, and about 15 feet of the webs singe and burn away.
Do I, so I've got a passive perception of 15. Do I notice anything about the webs as they burn away? Is there any kind of magical effect? Are there skittering
They look
spiders?
Sticky. You don't see any skittering spiders.
All right, so
But
he's
it
gonna.
looks like spider webs. That's what it looks like.
The Marquis is gonna kind of slowly walk forward, keeping his Schofield out, other hand on the butt of his Eldritch Cannon, and it's gonna move forward into the space that he's just cleared.
Okay. Anybody else do anything in this kind of turn? This
I'll move
initiative turn?
forward with him.
Yeah. I'll kind of have you all kind of move forward with him. And so you come up to another wall of what, it continues, essentially.
And the Marquis kind of looks behind him, like back toward the entry of the hallway, and looks at the other three and he goes, "Y'all know what's coming next."
What do you mean?
He like pushes his hat back on his head and like rubs his forehead. He goes, "There's only two ways you can go in this hallway: forwards or backwards. All this stuff in front of us is keeping us from going forwards, which means something is gonna come from back there. So why don't y'all keep your eyes that way, and I'll take care of the webs." And he readies another fireball.
What do you all do with that information?
Nelnada will reach underneath her cloak and draw out her short sword and hold it with the point down in her fist and stand ready for action.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm gonna face
forward
backwards as
with
well.
Are you facing backwards or forwards?
Facing backwards.
Okay. And Joremy, face backwards. Ashina, will you be facing forwards or backwards?
Forwards.
Okay.
Just keep an eye on everything in front.
And I'm gonna glance up every now and then.
Okay.
Is there like a ceiling above us?
No ceiling. So the webs kind of go up over it, go across the walls, but above you is still the Colosseum open air.
So we can see out into the sky and okay. So the Marquis is gonna, tell me if this is permissible. He's gonna fire off. He's gonna like fan the hammer and fire off a couple
we'll do one cantrip
fireball.
per action, basically.
That's fine.
And so you fire off the firebolt again. It burns another 15 feet of this webbing, and 15 feet in front of you, you see a 5-foot medium-sized blue and white spider, and it jumps at you guys. And I'm gonna roll for who it targets. I hope you're one that's pointed forwards. But everybody roll initiative!
Yippee!
I feel very betrayed, Mav.
Oh, this is awesome. This is great.
Hey, all of you look the other way.
Nelnada got a 22.
This is awesome.
Ashina got a 3.
Marquis got a 19.
Joremy got a 6.
Joremy.
So I bet I did better than the spider. Just throwing that out there.
Oh, unfortunately. Okay, time to roll. See who this spider is going to be jumping at. And the numbers are Ryan 1, Jacqueline 2, Mav 3, Brian 4. And that's cocked.
Respect the cock.
A 4. Brian.
Hey.
Oh, Joremy.
Hey, great idea, Marquis, to have us face this way, so we'll be ready if anything comes.
Joremy, this phase spider jumps at you and tries to sink its teeth into your back, and it will be attacking with advantage. And that is a 17 to hit.
Oh, barely. Yep.
Oh, barely. You are going to be taking 7 points of piercing damage. And now you need to make, 7 points of piercing damage, and you need to make a Constitution saving throw, DC of 11, as this poison is entering into your body. You feel it. This spider has bit into your arm, and this poison is entering.
All right. Constitution save. 15. Whew.
15, you save. But unfortunately, you are going to take half of the damage of this roll as this large amount of poison enters into you. And you're going to be taking half of 21, which is 10 points of poison damage.
So Joremy just falls.
Oh no!
Before we get to that, in the stat block, if the target reduces the damage to 0 hit points, you're stable but poisoned for an hour. You'd be poisoned even after regaining hit points, and you're paralyzed. So you are actually stable right now for this moment, but you are out. 0 hit points. And Nelnada, unfortunately, you were first on the initiative on that, but you were turned away, and so you did not. You were surprised by this. And the Marquis, you are up.
So as the Marquis sees Joremy go down, and like hears this, castigation. You told me to look away, to turn away. The Marquis like sees him go down. There's a pang of.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't want to. I need to interrupt you because as this spider bit into you, Joremy, it phases and disappears. It is gone.
Oh no!
Oh, I
And
hate
so-
that.
Marquis, your
I
turn.
must have been poisonous to it.
That root's invisible.
So as he sees Joremy go down, there's like a pang for a moment of guilt that he may have just gotten this guy killed, but then he shakes it off. He goes, "I don't do posses just for that reason," and he's trying to track like this spider. We burned away the webs up to where the spider was.
Yep. There are more webs.
Can I tell from where I'm standing how far it is? Like how many additional
You can't see through the
15-foot
webs.
sections?
It is too thick.
Oh dear. Okay. Are the webs moving, or are they still?
The webs are still.
So, the Marquis is going to step back about 15 feet and bring the Schofield up to his he's going to sight down it, and he's going to click back the hammer, and then ease it forward onto the cartridge very slowly, and cast Fairy Fire in front of him.
Okay.
Each object in a 20-foot cube within range is outlined in blue, green, or violet light. Let's pick green. Any creature in the area when the spell is cast is also outlined in light if it fails a dexterity saving throw. For the duration, objects and affected creatures shed dim light in a 10-foot radius. Any attack roll against an affected creature or object has advantage if the attacker can see it, and the affected creature or object can't benefit from being invisible. So he needs to hit a dex saving throw. But it doesn't say what the DC is.
Well, the problem is,
Oh, is he not there?
It's a phase spider, he said.
it's yeah, it's not on this. It doesn't. Nothing lights up.
Well, so holding his Schofield out, he keeps it there because it's a spell that requires concentration and lasts up to 1 minute. He's gonna hold it right there on that spot and see if this thing comes back. And if it pops back into existence in this cone, or in this square, in this 20-foot cube, it will have to make that 12 DC 12 dexterity saving throw.
Because it lasts. Because it. Well, it's a.
It's 10 rounds. It lasts 1 minute.
So it's any creature in the area when the spell is cast. And
Okay,
so it
I mean, that's
doesn't,
fair.
Yeah, so I think that the right way to rule it is that it doesn't stick around to affect creatures in the area.
Okay.
Were you trying to avoid your companions with that?
I don't think it differentiates. I think it just any creature in that area is subjected
So
to that.
if you were putting it on that spot with that 20-foot radius, everybody else does need to make that dexterity saving throw, or they're going to be lit up.
That's true.
So let's go through that. And Ryan, give me a dexterity saving throw.
21 for Nelnada.
You succeed, because the dex save is 12, I think. Brian, Joremy, his body lights up, unfortunately. And Ashina, go ahead and make a dexterity saving throw.
That would be a 10.
A 10. Ashina, unfortunately, you light up brightly. Anything else for your turn?
Unfortunately, I've used my action, and I thought I was going to be lighting this spider up, but it's not on this plane of existence. I thought it was invisible, but it's not. Because I don't know the stat block for a face spider. I was just acting on what I was seeing.
I think that was accurate to what a character. I don't think your characters have encountered stuff like this before. So
That's
I
certainly
think that
not the
was
Marquis.
that seemed like a great thing to do. So
but I can't cast a cantrip to burn away additional web. So I guess, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to use Second Wind. Try to get some hit points back.
Okay. Go ahead, roll those hit points.
1d10 plus 2. 11. Get 11 points back. That's what I'm talking about. All right.
Great. Joremy, you are down. It would be your turn, but you're down.
I do nothing.
Ashina. Ashina, you're up.
Okay, so I'm going for it. Wait. Great.
So you're standing, the hallway behind you has been torched out, essentially.
Okay.
You are 15 feet in front of you is also torched. So in 15 feet, that's when the webs start again.
Okay. I am going to cast Flame Blade and just start hacking through the webs, just trying to get out of this place.
So if it requires an attack roll, she gets advantage because it will be lit up with the fairy fire.
Yeah, because it's an object. Yeah, go ahead and give me an attack roll, and let's see if you can do, because it does 3d6 fire damage. So yeah, that's a bonus action, and then then you get to make a melee spell attack. So
Dirty 20.
a dirty 20 that hits, and so you're able to slash at this. You don't need to roll advantage. Go ahead and roll advantage. See if you crit.
All right. 9.
9. You burn away another 15 feet of the webbing in front of you.
Sweet.
And it goes away. You don't see any spiders.
It's
And would you like to move up to the edge of that webbing?
Yes.
Okay.
And then I will stay there till my next turn.
Okay. All right. Next is we're back up at the top. Nelnada, you were up.
Since there is no activity around her, she will put her back to the wall and bring out that sword, holding it in the point down in her closed fist, the other hand out in a flat palm, and she is going to hold her action and just be extremely vigilant, waiting for the next thing.
Okay. You're gonna hold. Are you gonna try to do a hold an action to do a reaction swipe at something?
Yeah, I'm going to hold an attack action and see if anything arrives within her range that she will be ready for, because there's nothing else she can do right now.
Okay. The spider phases back into existence right on top of where it was, right in front of Joremy's body. And it is going to see what its movement speed is.
Would it not be right next to Nelnada? I just kind of visualize them being right next to each other,
Yes.
her and Joremy.
Yes, sorry. Yep. So right next to you. So go ahead and you can take that attack action.
Okay. So my attack, I get 2 attacks. So we'll do a first attack with the sword, and it'll make another stunning attack. So this will be a 16 to hit.
Yes, 16 hits.
Okay. And so that'll be 6 points of damage, and then a Constitution saving throw as a DC 12.
A DC 12, okay, of the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, you weird witch. Stun him.
It rolled a natural 18.
All right. Well, then I'll take the second attack.
I think that when you ready an action, you don't benefit from a multi-attack.
Okay.
So that is your one swipe that you get for your for that.
Well,
That would have been great for the stunning strike to hit. Fortunately,
Certainly was worth a try.
Constitution's rolling well.
That's all good.
And it is going to roll to see what the character it can get to. And it can get to all 3 of you remaining. So I'm going to roll for that to see which one it is going to go toward. It still wants to attack Brian. But it's not going to. And it rolled a 3, which was Mav. And it skitters on up to you and tries to hit you with a bite attack. That is going to be an 11 to hit. An 11.
It misses.
It misses, and it stays right in front of you.
So it doesn't vanish? It's sitting right there?
It doesn't vanish because it had to reappear, so it can't kind of do both in one turn. So that is its turn, and you are up, the Marquis.
Marquis has a lot of weapons at his disposal. But
And
I
it
think
is right in front of you now.
I think the old one too. So the Marquis has the sharpshooter feat, which means that he can take a -5 penalty to an attack roll to add 10 to the attack's damage.
Cool.
But he doesn't have a penalty to firing ranged weapons within 5 feet.
Cool.
So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to try to put this thing out of its misery right now. So with his Schofield, he whips it out of his quick draw holster and sights down, aims down the sight right at the head of the spider and is going to use his sharpshooter feat. We're going to take 5 off his attack roll, but if he hits, he gets to add 10 damage to the attack. So let's see what happens.
Marquis is a gambling man. I like it.
Let's see what happens. Here we go. So a 19 minus 5 is a 14.
That hits.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about, baby. Yes. All right. 4, 5, 9, 19 damage.
19 damage. The spider's not looking good. And this is with your gun, right?
That was with his Schofield, and then he does a little gunplay, like twirls his Eldritch Cannon, bringing it around to fire off his second shot, which does not benefit because it's a bonus action on the Eldritch Cannon. Does not benefit from sharpshooter, so it's just a straight D20 plus 4.
And this does
Or a
this
10.
range?
Goodness.
Do you have a disadvantage to hit this?
So it's any ranged attacks. I do not have a disadvantage with firing within 5 feet.
Okay, cool. That was a 10 to hit?
10 hit, I imagine, does not.
Unfortunately, does not.
Okay.
You whiff.
You
You
got a little too
blast off
fancy.
a part of it, and then you try to use the other cannon at the part that it's missing, half
Yep.
its body, and you miss it. Because
Little
it's
too
already gone.
fancy. Little too fancy.
Anything else for your turn?
No. That's it. I'm gonna stand right in his face, dare him to do something.
Joremy, it's your turn. You're out. Ashina,
I appreciate the reminders that I'm dead.
you're not dead yet. So because
You're not technically
there's been
dead
some
yet.
healing in this group before, we're not. That's why I'm just I guess seeing what happens. I guess, but Ashina, it is your turn.
Okay. Gonna use the flame blade again to just keep hacking through the webs.
Okay, go ahead and swing at the webs.
That is a 7.
A 7 just hits.
Okay.
AC for hitting these is a 6. Just like the gelatinous cubes AC. So you burn another 5, 10, 15 feet of this webbing, and another spider, blue and
Oh
white,
lord.
is revealed and lunges at you and enters into the initiative. You can see it now, so it's not moved yet. So you can see it. You made one attack with your flame blade against the webs. Do you have anything for a bonus action that you would like to do?
No. So that'll be, well, After seeing the spider, I would move back towards the group where everybody was.
Okay. So you are going to move back. Your movement speed is 30. And so you move back to... Yep, you're basically in line with where you were before.
All right.
Good. Next is... We're back up at the top of the initiative order. Nelnada, you have... 10 feet away from you is one spider. The other spider is quite a distance away.
Okay.
45 feet away.
How
You would be able
good,
to get into 5-foot range of the second one within 40 feet, if that's what you would choose to do. But you see behind you 10 feet away this spider that is not looking good.
Right. I think that makes the most sense. So I'm going to come up behind that spider and just do the 2 attacks against it from behind.
Okay.
Which I said we're not using the flanking maneuvers this one.
Correct.
Okay. So it's going to be just a straight overhand down stab straight into the back of its carapace for a 15 to hit.
That hits.
All right. So the first attack
Give me
is
that
going
damage.
to be a 9 damage.
You slice that sword into the spider and twist it, and the spider drops its legs, and it is gone. It is dead.
As it dies, you see her quickly reach out her other hand, and you watch as this dark essence comes up through her hand as it leaves this mortal coil, and she gets 6 temporary hit points
Oh, cool. Very
No.
nice.
as she uses her Path of the Long Death feature,
Cool.
which, for those who are not familiar with that one, I will pull that up here so you can use it. So it's called the Touch of Death. When you reduce a creature within 5 feet of you to 0 hit points, you gain right now 6 hit points for me, which is based on my modifier, which is Wisdom, and my class level.
Cool.
So she now has her 30 feet of movement,
Yep.
and to get the other spider a long distance away, she will move an additional 20 feet up. That should put me within 25 feet of the other spider.
Yep.
Is that right? Okay, so I'll move the extra 5, so it should be within 20 feet, and I will pull one of the darts off of my vest, and I'll throw it at that other spider.
Yeah, you're
Or
trying to
a-
get 20 within 20 feet. of
Within
it.
20 feet, yeah.
Okay. Cool.
I will do that, and I will be throwing it as a ranged attack for a 17 to hit,
17 hits.
and that'll be 8 points of piercing damage,
Okay.
and that's
That
her
dart
turn.
sticks into the side of its head. Gnaws at it for a second, tries to figure out what the heck's going on. Nothing's supposed to bite me like that. Anything
I
else for your
guess-
turn?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the situation, not knowing what's going to happen next. I'm going to spend a key point, and I'll take a dodge action.
Cool.
Right,
You haven't used a bonus action yet, have you?
that is my bonus action. So
Yeah, I don't. You didn't. Your feature for the grave thing, that wasn't a bonus action.
no, it's
Or
just
anything, that's
it's
just a feature.
just anytime that I reduce anybody to 0 hit points, I regain 6 temporary hit points.
Okay, cool. You take the dodge action, and the Marcus, you are up.
So, seeing that Nalandra has dispatched a spider using her sword instead of her hands, he walks up next. As he's walking by her, he kind of tips his hat and he goes, "Certainly filled your hand, you son of a bitch," and then gets into range to fire shots at the remaining spider. How we still have web behind this spider as well?
The spider is exposed, so there's still web behind it.
It's behind door number 3. We think another spider? Deal with this one first. And betting that these spiders as arachnids might be flammable, he's going to rotate that Schofield's chamber to crack off another firebolt, and fires a firebolt at the spider.
Okay, go
For
ahead.
a 19 to hit.
19 hits.
For 5 fire damage.
All right. Singes on one of its legs. And then, yep, anything for bonus action?
Gonna bring up that Eldritch Cannon.
Good.
Fire away. For a 21 to hit.
21 hits.
For another... Woo! 12 damage, force damage.
Okay.
And it's pushed back 5 feet.
Oh, okay. It's pushed back 5 feet into the
I
webbing.
think 5. Is it 5 or 10? It's one or the other.
You've done it a couple times. I think it was 5 for this one. The 10 was your thunder wave.
Correct, it's 5. You're right.
Great. It is its turn, and it does have enough movement speed to get to a target, which is going to be Nelnada, who is dodging.
Patiently defending.
And it is going to try to hit you with this bite attack with disadvantage. With disadvantage, it was a 17.
Well, that hits.
That hits. And it is going to do 6 points of piercing damage.
Okay.
That spider's a crack shot.
Nelnada, you are going to have to make a DC 11 Constitution saving throw. As you feel this poison entering into your bloodstream, filling you up, you feel like this very well may be the end.
It's a natural 20 for 22.
A 22. You are going to save, but take half of 21 damage again.
Right,
That is
so
10
that'd be
damage
10 points
of
Okay.
poison damage. Are you
All
still
right.
up?
I'm still up.
Okay. Nelnada, you are still up. That those temporary hit points. You felt that effect.
Sure came in handy.
How did that feel? How did that feel with the temporary hit points really saving you there?
I feel that the blessing of the Raven Queen come across me as she shielded me with her feathers, and I feel the renewed desire to strike with the talon as I stare back at the bitter depths of the eyes of this face spider that his mandibles are right at my throat.
Okay. And as it bites you, it does disappear and phases out of existence, seemingly. Ashina, your turn.
Okay. So both of the spiders are gone now. I'm gonna go back to the web and keep hacking through it.
Okay, you are able. You're only able to make it up to where you were before,
Okay.
and with your movement speed, which is going to be 15 feet away from the next bit of web, because you had
Okay.
backed up, kind of back to the others, and so you've moved up 30 feet and are back to where you were at, which is 15 feet away from the webs.
Alright, and I will ready my weapon in case anything decides to come out and attack me.
Okay, Nelnada, it is your turn.
Okay.
Wait, did you skip me? I think you did.
I did skip Joremy. You were after the spider. Joremy, was there anything that you were going to do for your turn?
I was gonna lay here. And I'm still glowing, right?
You are still glowing.
Okay, yeah. Then I'll just lay here.
Great. Nelnada, you are up.
How far is Joremy from me?
Joremy is now 25 feet away from you.
Nelnada will look at everybody around, feeling weak, looking ragged, and say, even in the darkest night, her eyes see all. What is hidden shall be revealed. And she goes over to Joremy and stoops down and puts a hand over his head. I assume eyes are staring, just feeling if there's any breath. Doing a medicine check just to see if he's even alive.
You can tell that he's stable and poisoned.
Okay. Okay.
And that the only way he'd be getting up is if he got any healing.
Right. Stable and alive. She would look down at him and says, "Life is but balance. May she grant you feathers, but do not fear the talons." And she nods at him and walks the next 20 feet back towards the group.
Okay. Anything else for your turn?
That's all she's got.
Okay. The Marquis.
As Nelnada comes up beside him, he looks back at Joremy and he goes, "Smartest thing you've done all day." And he readies both of his cannons, pointing at exactly the place where the spider was, readying an attack.
Okay.
For when it reappears. I don't think I can ready a bonus action, but he's going to ready
You can
his...
get one shot, basically. And as you ready that action, the phase spider does phase back into existence, and you're waiting for it. Take your shot.
You're a daisy if you do. How's this thing look?
Not good, actually. It took a good amount of damage from... Yeah, it's...
Pretty sure I'm gonna hit it, but I don't want to risk anything. So I'm gonna not use my sharpshooter feat and just run a straight roll on this thing. Good thing I didn't, because that was a nat 1.
Unfortunately, your ready to action whiffs.
Yep, for a 10 to hit is gonna miss.
Yep, 10 does miss. It is up now, and right next to it, it's got... so it is right next to Ashina, and it will not want to move out of her opportunity attack range, and so it is going to attack with the bite attack.
If I recall correctly, Ashina is still lit up like a Christmas tree.
That is
I
true.
believe so.
That is true. Ashina, I've just recalled perfectly from my memory that you readied your action as well. Please swing your attack action with that flame blade on this and see if you hit this phase spider before it can do anything.
9.
9 to hit. Whiff. That's so sad. Oh, that's so sad because you whiff and see it look at you and you're lit up and it wants to bite and it wants to kill. And it rolls to bite you 20 to hit.
Yep.
You are going to take 5 points of piercing damage.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like you to roll a Constitution saving throw, DC 11, as you feel the poison enter your bloodstream.
No!
Oh no.
Unfortunately,
I hate my Constitution.
Ashina, you will take the full 18 points of poison damage. As the poison enters your stream and takes you down to 0 hit points, you too fall down stable, but out 0 hit points. At this point, Nelnada and Marquis, do you have any? If you have ability to heal, you could choose to use any of those abilities, or not. This is, of course, a competition to get to the end of this and to win this whole thing. Your characters are wanting to be the last ones standing. Do you have any ability to heal is a good question to ask.
Marquis couldn't help if he wanted to. And I'm not saying he wants to.
Gotcha. You look back at your fallen comrades and first look at Joremy. And Joremy, you are poisoned and stable and realize as you drift off that you will be drifting off into the beyond. What were Joremy's last thoughts? What was he thinking before he passes on?
he's actually grateful for this opportunity because it, in a way, granted his wish where he got to escape the situation he was in and feel like he was actually making his own choices and doing things on his own, not just wrote things that seemed just automatic to him.
Life had felt automatic, like he wasn't making his choices.
Yeah, and at least here, he felt like he was.
Okay. With those last thoughts, he drifts off and into the beyond where he can fully be himself in whatever realm lies ahead. Ashina, what are your last thoughts as you as your soul will drift off and pass on to whatever's next?
Knowing she at least tried to help get her family back, but left with the thought knowing that she will never be able to see them again.
And Ashina, with those final thoughts, you drift off in the beyond and you die.
All right.
And
is this face spider still there? Is it gone?
That is it. Are we still facing down this thing that's trying to kill us, or does it like evaporate?
oh, I'm sorry. Yes, the face spider is still there.
Does the competition sense that two competitors have fallen and all of a sudden everything kind of shuts down and fall? You know, we have two people
No.
who advance.
It may have seemed like that the way I was describing it, but I was
Yes, that was why I was asking.
pushing through because I knew she was the only one with healing spells that might use it, and so on her fallen comrade. So, Nelnada and the Marquis, you are the only two left at this point. The phase spider, very weak looking, just sank its teeth into Ashina, and you watched as the people you were with died. And it is Nelnada's turn.
Nelnada, just a fierce look in her eyes, but of serene calm, will go behind this next phase spider, just looking like she has been through hell and back, and will attack it from behind.
Okay. Go ahead and make an attack roll.
So first with the short sword, first attack, plunging straight down, it'll be a 13 to hit.
That just hits its AC.
Well, got close. All right, so rolling, it'll be 7 points of piercing damage.
That's as much damage as much HP as it had left.
She'll stab straight through its thorax, pull out the blade, and as the ichor drips off of it, drip it under her hand, and once again absorb that 6 points of temporary healing.
Cool.
Does the corpse stay there, or does it fade out?
The face spider, it stays there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
it stays.
She will then, with what bonus action she has, just try to kick it off of Ashina so that she can look down at her still face
Okay.
and say, "Embrace the dawn of life, but honor the dusk of death, for both are under her gaze." And she'll nod solemnly and straighten up and stand to look forward down the hallway with the rest of the spiderwebs.
So you two who are left, proceed carefully forward. The Marquis, imagine you use your fire cannon to burn the rest of the webbing away, and you are able to make it through the webbing and do not encounter any more spiders in this hallway of webs. You enter into the final room. In this final room, you see on the wall, that's a fair distance away, but on the wall there is a stone cutout in the wall that looks like a portal shape. Looks like a portal would be activated there. On the walls are 4 names: Ashina, the Marquis, Nelnada, and Joremy. And beneath each name is a handprint on the wall. In the middle of this room, sitting on the floor, is a chest. What would you like to do?
Well, the Marquis kind of checks the room out, takes his hat off, kind of wipes sweat off his brow, spits, and then turns to Nelnada and says, "I don't know what horrors this room has planned for us, but it's just 2 of us now. I don't plan on turning my guns on you as long as you don't plan on turning those empty palms on me. See if we can get through this alive."
She turns to you, palms up, sword sheathed, palms empty, and says, "I seek balance. in all things as the Raven Queen demands. I am here to usher those over who need it, but I seek no animosity, no remorse, only peace and balance and preservation.
Good enough. Kind of tips his hat back down, and then strolls over to the chest and gives it a kick. You know, he like the spurs clicking on his boots. You know, gives it a kick to see if it opens up.
As you kick the chest, it makes a noise, and the lid kind of opens a little bit, and you're able to open the chest.
Okay. My heart just now. Jesus Christ. I was like, don't tell me it grew teeth. Like, come on now.
I was so ready for a tongue to lash out, and we were so boned. Okay.
Inside the chest, you see 3 items. You see a +1 net, a +1 sword, and a hat that grants +1 to AC. And both of you can be standing over the chest at this point.
So the Marquis will take all 3 items and kind of lay them out on the ground so we can see him. You know, we're all there. And he looks at the hat. He takes his hat off. And he twirls it on his finger as if thinking, contemplating.
While you're contemplating, Nelnada will look at you, look towards your door, your guns, and pull out her short sword and lay it next to the +1 sword and look up at you and says, balance?
You're welcome to it.
She nods and smiles and says, in not Nelnada typical fashion, and say, hats aren't my thing.
Well, so the Marquis is looking at this hat and he's rotating his fingers. You can tell it's worn. This is a hat that's seen a lot of miles. It's dusty, it's dirty, it's stained in some places. The black ink is, the dye in it has faded. It's clearly been something he's had for a long time. And he's looking at this other hat and he's having a tough time. Like, he sees this obvious advantage given here, but then there's this pull of history, this pull of something that unspoken that he can't let go of. And almost as if like against his better judgment, he puts his own hat back on his head, strolls on by it to the wall.
Okay.
Nelnada will watch you walk by, and she'll go ahead and reach down and pick up the net and pick up the hat. Not put the hat on, but just put it back into her robes, seemingly saving that for later. And she'll look at the net quizzically for a while and find a way to attach it to some webbing under her clothing and look forward and walk over to the portal with her, or the handprint with her name on it as well.
As you take the hat and you interact with it more than just a quick touch, and you go to store it away, have your thumb kind of in the hat portion of it, it feels sharp. You start to feel a slimy something that squiggles up around, and you see that the opening of the hat turns into a row of teeth and grabs onto your hand, and the tongue wraps around you, and everybody roll initiative!
Oh my god!
What? Did not see that coming. No, I got a 14.
The Marquis got a 21.
Okay, so it does get a little surprise deal on you, Nelnada, and it will make a bite attack. As you realize that this hat was in fact a mimic. That was a +5. That was a 6 to hit.
6 to hit? No, 6 does not hit.
That was a natural 1. So
I was gonna say, was that a nat 1? You just rolled?
Was a natural
I was doing the math.
1.
Like, wait a second.
Yeah. You are adhered to it, and
You.
Is she
right
grappled?
down. She is grappled, so it does get an advantage on that, and it also is surprised. It's a surprise thing, so I didn't roll advantage on it. So it was the second roll is a 16 to hit, or a 21 to hit. Excuse me.
Okay. Yeah, well, that hits.
Okay, and you will take 5 points of piercing damage
Okay.
and 3 points of acid damage.
Okay. Still standing.
And
Surprised and annoyed.
that was its turn. What was your initiative? 14?
Yes.
Okay.
I had a 21.
Marquis. Yep. You see the hat turn into the mimic, and you go ahead with your turn.
Okay. So the Marquis like whirls around. Like I'm assuming Nelnada let out some kind of like or
Yes.
scream or something. Whirls around, sees this hat like latched onto her arm, and realizes he's gonna have to aim very carefully to hit this thing and not hit her.
You see Nelnada put up a hand as if to say, wait, but that's all you see.
Like, wait. So Marquis looks at Nelnada like dead in the eyes as his hands go toward his holsters, and he says, "Our deal's still on." And he fires, aiming at the mimic.
Okay.
So the Schofield first, the 14 to hit.
14 hits.
All right. For 5 damage.
All right.
And then, oh geez. So he realizes as he's drawing, like, bullet time, we hit. As the Eldritch Cannon comes up, he realizes he's firing force damage, and he might be able to shoot the mimic off Nelnada's hand.
If a creature's grappled and they get hit by something that moves them, it moves the grappled creature as well.
It moves both of them?
Yeah. If it's like the force damage that puts you 5 feet away. But it wouldn't, do just push them back 5 feet if you hit.
I was going to say, as long as it's not going to damage her.
It would not damage her.
Well, then we fuck it, we ball. 17.
17 hits.
For 11 damage.
Ooh. This is not a big hat. It's not looking good.
Shooting holes in this hat.
You punctured a couple holes into this hat. That's gnawing on Nelnada.
Satisfied, he kind of spins his guns back into his holster. Not the first time I shot holes in a hat.
And it is its turn again, and going to roll with advantage on Nelnada. So it's a 20 to hit on the bite again.
Yep, that'll hit me.
Oof. 4 points of bite damage, piercing damage. And also some acid damage. 5 points of acid damage.
Okay.
You still up?
No. As she starts to sink to the floor, she'll look over at Marquis and just say, "The hat was gonna be for someone else." And she will sink to her knees.
Was that your kind of final thoughts as you died?
Yeah, she sinks to her knees and then falls over. She'll think about just the time she spent as a wanderer, the many, many ways that she has served the Raven Queen, and will drift off in peace.
And Nelnada passes. Marquis, you are up with this hat on the ground that is looking bad.
Never want to run away from a fight. We're not heading to that door. We're not putting our hand in that portal until this thing goes down. He fires away. Both cannons.
Okay.
19 for a 28 to hit.
That hits.
8 damage.
8 damage blasts the hat, and you hit it, and it flies and sticks against the wall, and turns into this just ugly form, not a hat anymore, and kind of falls down on the wall. And the mimic is dead.
So the Marquis, twirls his pistols back into his holsters, almost out of habit, if not, flair. And for a moment kind of sets aside the crowd and takes a breath, and then walks over to Nelnada's body and kneels down on one knee, takes his hat off and takes her hand for a moment, and just squeezes it, says, "Sorry I couldn't make good on our deal."
Okay.
Then stands back up, puts his hat on, walks over to the portal.
Okay. You see your name with a handprint on the wall.
So he tugs off the leather cowhand glove he's got on, puts his hand up into the handprint.
As you do that, immediately a force field activates on your hand and covers your whole body, and you are locked in place. And you look up at your name, which turns green, and the other 3 names turn red, and the portal starts to activate. The room starts to rumble, and you look down at your feet, and the ground starts falling away. You look and see it's falling down to almost an endless black expanse. You need to make a dexterity saving throw to maintain your position on this ledge.
At least it's not strength.
21.
You are able to stay on the ledge. You beat the DC of 15 on that. And stay on the ledge as it goes away, as the floor falls away. The portal activates and grows and consumes you, and everything goes white, and your eyes adjust, and you look, and you are standing on the field of the Gladiator Stadium, the Coliseum, and you look and see in a circle the other gladiators who have made it through the Gauntlet, standing around in a circle. And that concludes the second heat of the GlaD&Diator tournament.
Woo, good job.
GlaD&Diator tournament. Thank you to all the players. Ryan, Mav, Jacqueline, and Brian. Their socials can be found in the description. If you'd like to see a video of this episode, it'll be up on our YouTube. Follow us at Talltale Tavern Podcast on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. If you like us, give us one of those good 5-star reviews. Join our Discord too. Thank you to Tyler Adelsperger for our intro music. Thank you to Zaezar for our artwork. And with that, we will see you next time at the Talltale Tavern.